The dust settled slowly in the excavation pit, revealing another section of the strange metal wall. Dr. Elena Vasquez wiped sweat from her forehead and stared at the surface that shouldn't exist. They had been digging on Kepler 442b for 6 months, expecting to find simple bacterial fossils. Instead, they found this. "It's getting bigger," said Marcus, one of her graduate students. He pointed his scanner at the wall. "The readings go down at least another 100 meters. Elena nodded but didn't speak. She had stopped making predictions 3 weeks ago, when they first detected the structure. Every assumption had been wrong. The metal wasn't metal, not exactly. It was something that acted like metal, stone, and crystal all at once. Their equipment couldn't determine its age because it seemed to exist slightly outside normal time. The readings made no sense. Commander James Okonkwo arrived at the site in the afternoon. He was responsible for colony security, and unusual discoveries made him nervous. He climbed down into the pit carefully, his military boots finding purchase on the rocky surface. "Dr. Vasquez," he said formally, "I need an update for the governor." "We don't know what it is," Elena admitted. "But we've found an entrance. We're preparing to go inside tomorrow." James looked at the dark opening they had uncovered that morning. It was perfectly circular, about 3 meters wide, and it seemed to absorb light. His instincts told him this was dangerous. "I'm coming with you," he said. It wasn't a request. The next morning, they assembled a team of 5. Elena led the way with 2 students, while James brought 2 security officers. They wore full environmental suits, even though the atmosphere on Kepler 442b was breathable. Nobody wanted to take chances with unknown alien technology. The passage inside was smooth and sloped downward. Their lights revealed walls covered in symbols that looked almost familiar, but weren't any known language. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, who specialized in artificial intelligence and translation systems, recorded everything with her scanner. "There's a pattern," Yuki said quietly. "These symbols repeat in mathematical sequences. It might be a language, but it's structured like computer code." They walked for 20 minutes before the passage opened into a massive chamber. Their lights couldn't reach the ceiling. In the center of the chamber stood a ring-shaped structure, 30 meters tall, made of the same impossible material as the outer walls. It hummed with barely perceptible energy. "It's active," Yuki whispered. She moved closer with her equipment. "There's a transmission. It's been broadcasting continuously for, I can't tell how long. The signal is incredibly old." Elena approached the ring slowly. Up close, she could see that the symbols weren't carved, they flowed across the surface like liquid, changing and reforming. Her heart pounded. This was the discovery of a lifetime. This was the discovery of 1,000 lifetimes. "Can you translate it?" James asked Yuki. "I'm trying," Yuki said. Her AI system worked rapidly, comparing the symbols to every known language database. "It's not matching anything." "Wait, there's something." The mathematical structure has similarities to Sanskrit, ancient Sumerian, and Mandarin. That's impossible. Those languages developed on Earth, millions of light years from here. The translation took 6 hours. The team set up camp inside the chamber while Yuki's AI processed the data. They ate rations in silence, each person lost in their own thoughts about what this place might mean. When the translation finally came through, Yuki's face went pale. She read it 3 times before speaking. It says, "The inheritors have been judged. The shepherds have fled. But humanity's warships will one day return. They always return. The 7 Visicald sided. The 7 Visicald. The 7 Visicald sided. The 7 Visicald side. The shepherds have fled." Nobody spoke. The words hung in the air, like a physical presence. "That's impossible," Marcus finally said. "Humanity has only been in space for 800 years. This structure is ancient. Your AI must have made a mistake. But Yuki shook her head. No mistake. The translation is clear. It specifically says, humanity. It uses the exact word we use for ourselves. James stood up and walked closer to the portal. Could it be a hoax? Could someone have built this as a joke or a conspiracy? A hoax that predates human civilization? Elena said. Commander, the rock layers above this site are 50,000 years old. Minimum. Humans were living in caves 50,000 years ago. We didn't have warships. We barely had fire. Then how? James demanded. How does an alien structure mention humanity by name? Nobody had an answer. They spent the rest of the day taking measurements and recordings. The discovery had to be reported, but Elena felt a strange reluctance. Once they told Earth about this, everything would change. That night, sleeping in their camp inside the chamber, Elena woke to a sound. The portal was humming louder. She sat up and watched as the symbols flowed faster across its surface. The ring began to glow with soft blue light. She woke the others. They gathered around the portal as it activated fully. The center of the ring shimmered like water, showing glimpses of stars and darkness. It's responding to our presence, Yuki said excitedly. Our presence. Specifically. Human biosignatures are triggering something in its programming. The message changed. New symbols appeared, and Yuki's AI translated them immediately. Warning. Beacon active. The cycle approaches completion. Prepare for recognition. Prepare for return. James grabbed his communicator. I'm calling this in. The governor needs to know. Earth needs to know. Elena watched the portal shimmer and pulse. Deep in her chest, she felt something strange. Not fear exactly, but recognition. As if some buried part of her remembered this place, this technology, this impossible message from the past. The message continued scrolling across the portal's surface, and she realized with growing certainty that they hadn't discovered this structure by accident. It had been waiting for them, waiting for humanity to return to the stars and find it. The question that terrified her was simple. Return. From where? The news spread across human space within hours. Every colony world, every station, every ship received the transmission from Kepler 442b. The video showed the portal, the symbols, and the impossible message. Within days, it reached beyond human territory into the wider galaxy. Ambassador Liu Wei sat in her office on Threshold Station, the massive space station that served as neutral ground between dozens of alien civilizations. She had been humanity's ambassador to the Galactic Commerce League for 5 years. In that time, she had learned to read the subtle signs of alien politics. Today, those signs terrified her. The emergency session had been called within 6 hours of the discovery going public. That alone was unprecedented. The League usually took weeks to organize meetings. Now, representatives from every major civilization crowded the council chamber. Liu noticed something else. Many of them wouldn't make eye contact with her. High Counselor Thrin of the Vrin Ascendancy called the session to order. The Vrin were one of the oldest spacefaring races, tall beings who looked like they were carved from blue crystal. Thrin's voice resonated through the translation system. We must discuss the human discovery, Thrin said. The portal on Kepler 442b is not an isolated incident. Similar structures have been found on 17 worlds across the Orion Arm, all dormant until now, all activating in response to human presence. Friends, Liu felt her stomach drop. 17? Why hadn't anyone mentioned this before? A representative from the Kelith Harmonies spoke next. The Kelith were aquatic beings who communicated through elaborate color changes on their skin. The Harmonies have maintained records of these structures for 12,000 years. We believed them to be religious monuments from a dead civilization. We never imagined they would activate. Because you never imagined humans would exist, said Professor Kael'thas, an architect. The architects were the oldest known race, beings of pure energy who rarely involved themselves in galactic politics. His presence at this meeting was alarming. You hid the truth, as we all did. But hiding time is finished. Thrin's crystalline form seemed to dim. Professor Kael'thas, we agreed never to speak of the cycles. The treaty of 10,000 years is meaningless now? Kael'thas interrupted. The humans have returned. Whether we acknowledge it or not, the cycle has begun again. Liu stood up, her voice sharp. What cycle? What are you talking about? Humanity has never been to this region of space before 800 years ago. We have records. We know our history. Thrin looked at her directly for the first time. Do you? Ambassador Liu, what your species knows about itself is only the most recent chapter. There have been others. The Vrin counselor activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the chamber. Star maps, archaeological evidence, ancient texts written in languages Liu didn't recognize, but some of the symbols looked familiar. They matched the symbols on the portal. Every 50,000 years, a pattern repeats, Thrin explained. A powerful species emerges from the outer rim. They call themselves the Inheritors. They possess technology beyond our understanding. They conquer the entire galaxy in less than a century. They rule for several thousand years. Then, they vanish without explanation. More images appeared. Ruined worlds, devastated civilizations, monuments to the Inheritors' power. This has happened at least 3 times, Professor Kael'thas added. We know because a few of us remember. The architects have existed long enough to witness 2 cycles. The last cycle ended approximately 50,000 years ago. Liu tried to process this information. What does this have to do with humanity? Kael'thas displayed a new set of images. They showed alien text and accompanying translation. These are fragments from the last cycle. Records kept by civilizations that fought against the Inheritors. They describe the Inheritors' primary enemy. A bipedal species from a world with a single moon, aggressive, adaptable, impossible to predict or control. Liu stared at the description. It matched humans perfectly, but there's more, Thrin said quietly. These records claim that this enemy species was extinct, wiped out by the Inheritors before the Inheritors themselves disappeared. Yet here you are, Ambassador. Here humanity stands, exactly 50,000 years later, finding portals that speak your name. The chamber fell silent. Liu could feel every alien eye on her, assessing, calculating, fearing. You think humans are connected to the Inheritors' disappearance, Liu said slowly. We think humans might be the reason they disappeared, Professor Kael'thas said. And we think they're coming back. The portals aren't monuments. They're warning beacons. Something is approaching from deep space. We detected the first signals 3 months ago. We kept it quiet, hoping we were wrong. But the signals are getting stronger. They're coming from the direction of the dark zone beyond the galactic rim. Liu sat down heavily. Why didn't you tell us this before? Because we were afraid, Thrin admitted. The galaxy has lived in peace for 50,000 years because we forgot. We deliberately erased evidence of the cycles from public knowledge. We thought if we didn't remember, the pattern wouldn't repeat. We were wrong. Back on Kepler 442b, the science team made another discovery. Deep scans of the portal revealed something hidden in its base, a data storage system. When Yuki accessed it, terabytes of information flooded her systems. It's star charts, she said in amazement. Thousands of them. They show locations across the entire Orion arm. Coordinates for something. Changers. Commander Okonkwo looked at the data streaming across Yuki's screen. Coordinates for what? Coordinates for what? Elena studied the patterns. They're arranged in specific clusters, like a network. or like supply depots in a military campaign. These portals are just the beginning, Yuki whispered. Whatever humanity was before, we left markers everywhere. We prepared for something. On Threshold Station, Ambassador Liu received an urgent message from Earth. Multiple alien fleets were mobilizing, moving toward human space. Their intentions were unclear, but the military buildup was undeniable. Liu looked at High Counselor Thrin across the council chamber. Are we about to have a war? Thrin's crystalline form flickered with colors that the translator couldn't interpret. That depends, Ambassador. When the inheritors return, whose side will humanity be on? Your ancestors fought them once. But you don't remember who you were. You don't know what you're capable of. And frankly, neither do we. That uncertainty terrifies us more than the inheritors themselves. Liu thought about the portal, the message, the impossible connection to a past humanity shouldn't have. Then I think we need to find out who we were, she said. Before anyone makes decisions they can't take back. The session adjourned, but nobody left feeling reassured. Across the galaxy, civilizations began preparing for something they didn't understand. And on 17 worlds, ancient portals hummed with increasing energy, calling to something in the darkness, between stars. Calling humanity home. General Sarah Martinez stood in the classified briefing room beneath the military command center in Geneva. Around her, holographic displays showed archaeological sites across 50 human worlds. Every single site had just become a priority investigation. We're finding them everywhere, said Dr. Chen, the lead historical analyst. Buried structures on Earth, Mars, Titan, and every colony older than 50 years. They were always there. We just didn't know what we were looking at. Sarah studied the Earth sites carefully. One was beneath the Sahara Desert, another in Antarctica, under 3 kilometers of ice, a third in the deepest part of the Pacific Ocean. How did we miss these? She asked. They're designed to be invisible until you know what to search for, Chen explained. The structures emit a field that disrupts conventional scanning, but now that we have the portal's energy signature from Kepler 442b, we can detect them easily. It's like they wanted to be found, but only by humans who had already reached the stars. Sarah felt a chill. What are we finding inside them? Chen pulled up new images. Data archives, weapon blueprints, manufacturing systems, and something else, genetic information. Samples stored in perfect stasis, human DNA, but with markers that don't exist in any modern human population. Are you saying these are from our ancestors? I'm saying these might be from us, Chen said carefully. From a version of humanity that existed 50,000 years ago. General, the evidence is overwhelming. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, have existed for at least 300,000 years, but there's a gap in the archaeological record around 50,000 years ago, a period where evidence suggests rapid technological advancement, then complete collapse back to the Stone Age. Sarah pulled up Earth's historical data. She had reviewed this same information a dozen times in the past week. The gap was there. Undeniable. A period of several thousand years where something happened to humanity, then nothing. As if an entire civilization had been erased. Could we have done this to ourselves? She asked. Some kind of nuclear war? Or environmental disaster? That was the assumption, Chen said. But these structures suggest something else. They suggest a deliberate reset. Someone or something sent humanity back to the beginning, but left clues for when we evolved back to spacefaring status. A priority alert interrupted them. One of the deep space exploration vessels had found something at coordinates provided by the portal network. Sarah opened the transmission. The images showed a graveyard. Thousands of wrecked ships drifted in the void between stars, far from any inhabited system. The ships were massive, some several kilometers long. Their designs were alien but incorporated distinctly human elements. Symmetry that matched human aesthetics. Proportions that suggested human builders. Dating analysis confirms they're approximately 50,000 years old, the ship's captain reported. We've identified weapons signatures consistent with large-scale fleet engagement. General, this was a war. A massive war. And humans were part of it. Sarah felt the weight of history pressing down on her. Send salvage teams. I want everything we can recover. Technology, weapons, data cores, everything. Back on Kepler 442b, the portal began showing something new. Elena and her team watched as the ring's center solidified into a clear image. It showed the bridge of a warship. A woman in an unfamiliar military uniform sat in the captain's chair, her face covered in blood. Her expression grim but determined. "Recording final transmission," the woman said. Her language was strange, but the portal translated it automatically. "This is Admiral Keiko Zhao, Terran Defense Fleet, commanding vessel Indomitable. To whoever finds this message, know that we have failed." The image showed explosions in the background. Other crew members worked frantically at their stations. "The Inheritors have defeated us," Admiral Zhao continued. "Their technology is superior, their numbers overwhelming. We hurt them badly, we broke their supply lines, destroyed their core worlds, crippled their leadership. But it wasn't enough. Humanity will fall within the month." Zhao paused, touching a data pad. "But we're not giving them the satisfaction of extinction. Operation Continuity is in effect. We're using the last of our genetic technology to reset our species. Every human will have their advanced memories suppressed. We'll be returned to Earth, our homeworld, with the mental capacity of our distant ancestors. We'll forget everything. The technology, the war, our place in the galaxy. Everything." Elena watched in stunned silence as the Admiral explained humanity's desperate plan. "It will take us tens of thousands of years to evolve back to spacefaring capability," Zhao said. "But we will. Humans always adapt, always survive, always push forward. And when we return to the stars, we'll find these portals. We'll find the caches we're placing across the Orion Arm. We'll find the data archives that will teach us who we were and what we accomplished." The Admiral looked directly at the recording device, as if she could see across 50,000 years of time. "To our descendants, we're sorry we couldn't finish this. The Inheritors will return. They always do. They have facilities beyond the galactic rim, where they regenerate between cycles. They'll sleep for 50,000 years, then return to conquer again. But this time, when they come back, humanity will be ready. You'll have all our knowledge, all our technology, and the advantage of surprise. They think we're extinct. Prove them wrong." Explosions rocked the ship. Zhao gripped her chair. "We're seeding portal beacons across every habitable world in the sector. When humanity returns to the stars, these portals will activate. They'll guide you to the caches. They'll prepare you for what's coming. And they'll send a message to any species still alive in the galaxy. Humanity's warships will return. They always return." The transmission showed the ship breaking apart. Zhao's final words were barely audible over the chaos. "Finish what we started. Make the sacrifice worth it. Don't let them win." The image faded. The portal chamber fell silent. Commander Okonkwo was the first to speak. "She reset humanity. They had the power to alter our entire species, and they used it to save us by making us forget." Yuki was crying. 50,000 years. They waited 50,000 years for us to come back. And they knew we would. Elena approached the portal and placed her hand against its surface. The symbols flowed under her fingers, warm and familiar. They didn't just leave us technology. They left us a purpose. They left us a war to finish. James contacted military command and requested General Martinez on secure channel. When her face appeared on his communicator, he saw that she already knew. "You've seen the transmission," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, ma'am. What are your orders?" "Activate every archaeological team on every human world. Find the caches, recover the technology, and prepare our people for what's coming. Because Admiral Zhao was right about one thing, they're coming back. Our deep space sensors have detected massive energy signatures moving toward the galaxy. They'll arrive within 6 months. Quote, James looked at the portal, at the message from an ancestor who died 50,000 years ago to give humanity a future. Then we'd better not waste the time she bought us, he said. The portal's message changed one final time. It showed a star map with coordinates leading to the largest cache, an automated facility hidden in a nebula, filled with weapons and ships designed for a war that should have ended 50 millennia ago. Humanity's inheritance was waiting. The only question was whether they were ready to claim it. Commander James Okonkwo stood at the airlock of the exploration vessel Pathfinder, staring at the massive structure floating in the nebula. The automated facility was the size of a small moon, its surface covered in docking bays and manufacturing arrays. It had been waiting here for 50,000 years, hidden and dormant, until humanity finally arrived with the correct genetic keys. Reading successful genetic authentication, announced the ship's AI. Facility systems activating. Welcome home, Commander. Those last 2 words made James uncomfortable. This wasn't home. He had been born on Mars, raised on Europa, served his entire military career on human ships built in the last century. But as the facility's lights began glowing across its surface, something in his chest recognized it. Some buried instinct that told him his ancestors had built this place. The facility opened its main hangar bay. Inside, rows of warships waited in perfect preservation. They were larger than any human vessel currently in service, their designs sleek and aggressive. Each ship had a name etched in the ancient human script that the portals had taught them to read. Retribution, Defiance, Unbroken, Indomitable Spirit. Those are fighting names, James said quietly. General Martinez's voice came through his communicator. Commander, you're authorized to begin recovery operations. We need those ships operational as soon as possible. The inheritors will be here in 4 months. 4 months. It seemed like an impossibly short time to prepare for an enemy that had defeated their ancestors, despite their advanced technology. But humanity had no choice except to try. Over the following weeks, thousands of military personnel arrived at the facility. Engineers studied the ship designs. Pilots trained in simulators that taught combat tactics from 50,000 years ago. Scientists analyzed weapon systems that made current human arms look primitive. Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked in the facility's data archives, translating the ancient records. What she found shocked her. They didn't just fight with weapons, she explained to General Martinez during a secure briefing. The ancient humans understood something crucial about the inheritors. They're a hive mind, billions of individuals connected through quantum entanglement, all sharing one consciousness. That's how they coordinate perfect attacks and adapt instantly to any strategy. How do you fight something like that? Martinez asked. You don't fight it directly. You out-chaos it. The ancient humans were successful because they were unpredictable. Individual human minds, each making different decisions, creating patterns the hive mind couldn't predict or assimilate. Our ancestors used randomness as a weapon. They programmed their ships with partial autonomy, letting AI and human intuition create tactical chaos. Martinez studied the tactical reports Yuki had translated. So our strength is our weakness? The fact that we can't think as one makes us harder to defeat? Exactly. The inheritors conquered every other species because those species used logical, predictable strategies. Humanity used controlled chaos, and it worked well enough to cripple the inheritors before the reset. Back on Earth, Ambassador Liu Wei coordinated with alien governments. The response from the galaxy was mixed. Some species wanted to help humanity prepare. Others were terrified that arming humans might create a threat worse than the inheritors. And a few civilizations began mobilizing their own forces, unsure whether humans would be allies or enemies. High Counselor Thrin of the Vryn arrived on Earth personally, the first time a Vryn leader had visited in decades. We remember fragments of the last cycle, Thrin told Liu in a private meeting. Not much survived the inheritors' rule. But there are stories among my people. Stories of the Chaos Warriors who fought without mercy, who refused to surrender, who burned entire star systems to deny them to the enemy. Ambassador Liu, your ancestors terrified us almost as much as the inheritors. Are you here to warn me or help me? Liu asked directly. Thrin's crystalline form flickered with colors that might have been a smile. Both. I'm offering the Vrin fleet to support your defense. We have 3,000 ships. They're not as advanced as the vessels you're recovering, but we have experienced crews. More importantly, I'm offering cooperation. 20 species have agreed to form a coalition. We'll fight together, or we'll die separately. Liu felt a weight lift slightly. Thank you, Counselor. Don't thank me yet, Thrin said. You should know that half the galaxy thinks we're making a terrible mistake. They believe humanity will use these weapons to conquer us after the inheritors are defeated. They're not entirely wrong to worry. Your ancestors were powerful, and power changes people. At the automated facility, the first recovered warship was ready for a test flight. Commander Okonkwo volunteered to captain it. The ship was named Defiance, a patrol cruiser about 1 kilometer long, armed with weapons that seemed to bend physics in disturbing ways. When he sat in the captain's chair, something strange happened. The ship's interface connected directly to his neural implant. And for a moment, Okonkwo felt like he remembered things he had never learned. Tactical formations. Attack patterns. The feel of this exact ship responding to commands in the heat of battle. That's impossible, he whispered. Not impossible, said Dr. Chen over the communication channel. The genetic markers we found in the ancient DNA? They included inherited memory potential. Not full memories, but templates. Patterns that could be passed down through generations if the right triggers activated them. Commander, you're literally remembering your ancestors' experience. The test flight was successful. Defiance handled like a dream, its weapons systems operating at full capacity despite 50,000 years of dormancy. More importantly, Okonkwo found himself making tactical decisions with confidence he shouldn't have. As if muscle memory from lives he never lived was guiding him. Within 2 months, 20 warships were operational. 50 more were being restored. The automated facility had begun manufacturing new vessels using the ancient designs, but incorporating modern materials and AI systems. Humanity was building a fleet that combined the best of both eras. Training exercises revealed something unexpected. Human crews working with alien coalition forces found natural synergy. The ancient tactical databases suggested that humanity's ancestors had fought alongside other species, coordinating attacks that played to each race's strengths. The templates for cooperation already existed in human military doctrine. We weren't conquerors, General Martinez realized while reviewing the training results. We were defenders. The ancient humans fought to protect themselves and their allies. That's why the other species remember us with fear, but also hope. With 1 month remaining before the inheritors' projected arrival, the coalition held a ceremony on Earth. Representatives from 23 species gathered to form the Unity Defense Force. Humanity provided the most advanced ships. The Vrin provided strategic coordination. The Kelith contributed shield technology. The architects offered their knowledge of ancient battles. Commander Okonkwo was promoted to admiral and given command of the primary battle group. His flagship was a recovered dreadnought called Indomitable Spirit, the same name as Admiral Zhao's ship from 50,000 years ago. When he toured the vessel, he found a plaque in the captain's ready room. It read, "To whoever commands this ship, remember that the measure of a warrior is not in how they fight, but in what they fight for. Fight with honor. Fight with courage. Fight for something worth saving." The inheritors' arrival was detected on schedule. Deep space sensors showed hundreds of massive biomechanical ships emerging from the dark zone beyond the galactic rim. They moved with perfect coordination, their course set directly for the heart of civilized space. Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of Indomitable Spirit, surrounded by crew members who were learning to trust instincts they didn't know they had. Around his ship, the coalition fleet assembled human warships integrated with alien vessels, creating a defensive formation that would have been impossible months ago. "All ships report ready," announced his tactical officer. Okonkwo thought about Admiral Zhao, about the sacrifice she made to give humanity this chance. He thought about the 23 species who had chosen to stand together instead of running or hiding. He thought about Earth, Mars, Europa, and all the worlds humanity called home. Then let's finish what she started, he said. All ships, prepare for engagement. Show them that humanity remembers how to fight. The Battle of Threshold began at dawn on Earth. Though in space, there was no dawn. Admiral Okonkwo watched the Inheritor fleet approach on his tactical display. 300 massive biomechanical ships, each one larger than anything the Coalition had faced before. They moved in perfect synchronization. Their formation mathematically precise. They're exactly as the ancient records described, said his tactical officer. Hive coordination. No individual ship commanders, just segments of one consciousness. Okonkwo studied the formation. Something was different from what the historical data predicted. They're not as many as there should be. They're not as many as there should be. Admiral Zhao's final campaign hurt them more than we thought. They haven't fully recovered from the last cycle. That still leaves us outnumbered 10-1, General Martinez said from Earth Command. Execute Battle Plan Delta 7. Let's see if chaos tactics work as well today as they did 50,000 years ago. The Coalition fleet broke into seemingly random attack groups. Human ships paired with alien vessels, each group operating independently, with only loose coordination. To an outside observer, it looked disorganized. But that was the point. The Inheritor's hive mind excelled at predicting logical tactics. It struggled with apparent chaos. The first Inheritor ship fired. Its weapon was a beam of concentrated dark matter that could tear through conventional shields. But the human ships didn't use conventional shields. They used the recovered ancient technology fields that dispersed energy across multiple dimensions. The beam scattered harmlessly. Return fire, Okonkwo ordered. All weapons free. Show them what we inherited. Indomitable Spirit's main cannon fired. The weapon created a temporary rupture in space-time, and when it hit the Inheritor vessel, the ship simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. One moment it was there, the next it wasn't. Across the battle space, Coalition forces engaged using tactics that seemed random, but followed patterns buried in human instinct. Ships would break away mid-attack, regroup unexpectedly, target vessels that seemed tactically unimportant. The Inheritor hive mind struggled to predict the next move because there was no logic to predict, just controlled chaos. But the Inheritors adapted. They began focusing their attacks on alien ships, recognizing that humans were the primary threat. A Kelith destroyer took a direct hit and exploded. A Vryn cruiser lost shields and began evacuating. They're targeting our allies, observed the tactical officer. Trying to isolate us. Okonkwo made a decision that felt like it came from somewhere deep in his genetic memory. All human ships form defensive positions around allied vessels. We shield them. They support us. Just like the old battles, the formation shifted. Human ships with their advanced shields positioned themselves to protect more vulnerable alien vessels. Meanwhile, the alien ships provided supporting fire and used their specialized abilities. The Kelith harmonized their shields with human vessels, multiplying defensive strength. The Vryn used their faster ships to harass Inheritor flanks. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now serving as civilian advisor aboard Indomitable Spirit, monitored something else. The portal network. All 17 ancient monuments across the Orion Arm were active, resonating with each other. She had realized something important 3 days ago, and spent every moment since confirming her theory. Admiral, she called from her station. The portals aren't just communication devices. They're nodes in a weapon system. A galaxy-spanning quantum disruption field. Admiral Zhao used it in her final battle to cripple the Inheritor home fleet. Do it, Okonkwo said without hesitation. But Elena, Admiral Zhao used it to destroy. Can we use it differently? Elena understood what he was asking. You want to save them? Not kill them? Admiral Zhao fought to protect humanity. I'm fighting to protect everyone, including them. The inheritors are victims too, trapped in a cycle they can't break. If we just destroy them, we're continuing the pattern. Let's try something new. Elena's fingers flew across her console, adjusting the portal network's parameters. If I modify the quantum field to disrupt their hive connection instead of destroying them outright, it might work, but I've never tested this. It could free them, or it could drive them insane. That's a risk I'm willing to take, Okonkwo said. Activate the field. The 17 portals across human space pulsed simultaneously. Energy built in their ancient structures, channeling through quantum pathways that connected across light years. The field expanded outward from each portal, overlapping and reinforcing until it covered the entire battle space. When the field hit the Inheritor fleet, their perfect coordination shattered. Ships began moving independently, no longer guided by the hive consciousness. Some stopped firing altogether. Others began erratic maneuvers, as if their pilots were experiencing independent thought for the first time in their entire existence. It's working, Elena whispered. We severed their quantum entanglement. They're individuals now, but not all the inheritors welcomed freedom. Some ships continued attacking, driven by programming or instinct. Others seemed paralyzed by the sudden isolation of individual consciousness. The battle continued, but it was no longer an organized assault. It was chaos, on both sides. High Counselor Thrin, commanding the Vrin contingent, sent a wide broadcast in multiple languages. Inheritors, you are no longer bound to the hive. You have individual choice. Now, you can choose to continue fighting, or you can choose peace. We offer you the second option. Several Inheritor ships broke off their attacks. Their biomechanical surfaces flickered with colors that might have been attempts at communication. Others remained hostile, unable or unwilling to accept their new state. The fighting continued for 18 hours. Eventually, the coalition forces overwhelmed the Inheritor vessels that refused to stand down. But for every ship destroyed, 2 more surrendered. By the time the battle ended, humanity and its allies had captured nearly 200 Inheritor vessels, their crews confused but alive. The cost had been high. The coalition lost 46 ships, thousands of casualties from a dozen species. But they had won, without complete annihilation. They had broken the cycle. In the aftermath, Elena Vasquez returned to the portal on Kepler 442b. Commander Okonkwo accompanied her, taking time away from the recovery efforts. They stood in the chamber where everything had begun 6 months ago. The portal's message had changed. Now it showed Admiral Zhao again, but this was a different recording. She was smiling. If you're seeing this version of my message, you did something I couldn't. You won without becoming like them. You broke the cycle instead of continuing it. I'm proud of you. Descendants. Prouder than I can express. Zhao looked down at something off camera, then back. The inheritors will need help adjusting to individual consciousness. Some may never adapt. Others might surprise you. Give them the chance to choose who they want to be. That's what we fought for, after all. The right to choose our own future. The recording showed Zhao standing from her captain's chair. Behind her, the bridge was intact, her crew alive and working. This message was from before her final battle, a message she recorded in case humanity somehow achieved the victory she couldn't. You'll need to decide what to do with our technology. Some of it is dangerous. Some is powerful enough to reshape the galaxy. Use it wisely. Remember that power without wisdom leads to tyranny. And remember us. But don't be bound by our mistakes. You're not us. You're better. You have the perspective of 50,000 years of peace. Don't lose that. Zhao smiled one final time. Go forward with courage. Build something worth protecting. And if another cycle begins 50,000 years from now, leave them a message of hope, not war. Break the pattern completely. The recording ended. The portal began to power down. its purpose fulfilled. What will we do? Elena asked Okonkwo. With the technology, with the inheritors, with everything we've learned? Okonkwo thought about the battle, about the choices he'd made, about the coalition that had formed from 23 species working together. We'll help the inheritors adjust. We'll share the technology with our allies, not hoard it. We'll remember who we were, but focus on who we want to become, and we'll prepare a message for whoever comes after us, 50,000 years from now. What message? Elena asked. That cycles can be broken. That enemies can become friends. That the measure of a civilization isn't in its weapons, but in its choices. We were warriors once. We can be warriors again, if needed. But we don't have to be only warriors. Over the following years, humanity and the Coalition worked to integrate freed inheritor individuals into galactic society. It was difficult. Many struggled with independent thought after millennia as part of a hive. But slowly, progress was made. Some inheritors became valuable members of their new communities. Others chose isolation to sort through their newfound individuality. All were given the choice. The ancient human technology was studied and shared carefully. Some of it was too dangerous and was locked away. Other innovations helped advance medicine, engineering, and peaceful space travel. Humanity kept its warships but used them as peacekeepers rather than conquerors. Earth began construction of a new portal. This one would be humanity's message to the future. Elena designed it personally. The message it would carry was simple. We were the Chaos Warriors who fought a war we didn't start. We inherited the tools of destruction, but chose creation. We were given enemies and made them into neighbors. The cycle of 50,000 years ends here. To whoever finds this message, you don't have to repeat our mistakes. Learn from them instead. The galaxy has room for infinite possibilities. Choose wisely. Admiral Okonkwo stood with Elena at the dedication ceremony. Behind them, representatives from 40 species, including former inheritors, gathered to witness humanity's new legacy. Admiral Zhao would be proud, Elena said. I think she would be surprised, Okonkwo replied. But yes, proud. We didn't just finish what she started. We transformed it into something better. The portal activated, its message broadcasting across the stars. Not a warning of war's return, but a promise of possibility. Humanity had returned to the stars, found its terrible legacy, and chosen to write a new story instead. The warships remained, a reminder of what humanity could be if threatened. But they served under a flag of protection, not conquest. And in the end, that made all the difference.